Hi, I'm Amy Mahaly from Be Well Clinic, and today I want to demonstrate how to make lard. So we're going to take some pig fat, we're going to cut it up, and we're going to put it in this pot. The pot you want to choose is one that is more tall with a smaller bottom, because a large spread out bottom will actually have it more likely for your lard to burn as you are trying to render it. So let's get started. First thing we want to do is take out pieces of the lard. Now this lard is skin fat. We'll see if we have other kind of fat in here, but skin fat is what we have, which is what most lard is made from and the most common thing for you to get it. What you want to do is cut it into small-ish pieces. I like to have a size about this big, but if I am in a hurry, you definitely can do it smaller. More or less even is helpful, but not super important. As pretty quickly the fat is going to be in its own juices, and then it doesn't matter if you are evenly cooking things through. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up the whole rest of this lard. We're going to put it in this pot, and then we will start having it to render. There you have it. All of our fat is cut up and put in this pot, and we're going to put that on the heat here in a second. I wanted to talk to you about a few pieces that I kept aside. So I cut off some of these pieces with little blue inks. These are probably left over from tattooing or something that maybe went through the skin, or an indelible pen that was used to mark the pig or the pork even after it was killed. So they're toxic chemicals. I don't need them in my fat. The other reason I kept some of this fat aside was it felt different to me, and I wanted to make sure that it was skin fat, like I said, is normal, versus leaf fat, which is fat from around the kidneys and the internal organs. That fat renders differently. I think that this little piece might be leaf fat, and it was stuck to these other pieces, but these are actually skin fat, so I'm going to cut them up and put them in the pot to render. So we're going to do that. I'm going to let it render for a little bit, and then I'm going to check back with you and show you what it looks like. Alright, you want to make sure to have this on low heat. You can hear already, even after a minute or two, it's starting to render out. You can hear it popping, and it is getting started. This first part is actually pretty important to stir every little bit to kind of get the fat pieces coated and not just ones on the bottom really crispy. And then once you've got a little layer of fat on the bottom, you can stir much less often. So, alright, so checking back in with the lard. I've been stirring it about every minute or so, and what I'm trying to do is these pieces that are more pink, and that still have that pink color to them, versus the ones that are getting more translucent, or brown, tan, whatever you want to call that. And then you can see already we have quite a bit of liquid in the bottom. So that's that rendered lard that we're going to pour off at the end. So I just wanted to show you what a translucent versus a still not quite. And I try to get the pink ones down to the bottom to get them evenly working as I stir, just because I know that those ones are cooler than the other ones are potentially hotter. So then we just keep stirring. You can pour off that liquid lard every half cup or cup if you are worried about burning it, but it is totally fine to let it all render together, and I will show you what it looks like when we start pouring the lard off. Alright, it's time to pour some of the rendered lard off into the jar. I like to do this every little while because sometimes I do lose track of time, and I've burned it before and had to throw the whole batch out. So if that happens, I've at least saved some at this point. Again, if you're watching it well, not distracted as me, you can definitely keep it all rendering together. So how to do this, I'm going to put on a jar funnel on a clean, whatever jar you have with a lid. It doesn't really matter, it doesn't have to seal. And then you want to get a fine mesh wire, not plastic, plastic mesh, because that will melt, to place inside there. This one does balance pretty well, but sometimes you need another person to help out. And then I'm going to take the lard that's rendered and I'm going to pour it carefully into the jar. See that it's, oh dear. You see that it's pretty clear. This is why a friend is helpful. See, it's pretty clear as you're pouring it. It has that little yellow tint, and then it is going to cool completely white, as you will see at the end of the video. It has been about 20 minutes maybe since I've started this lard, so it is coming along pretty nice. Alright, we've been going for about an hour now. Here's what the lard's looking like. There's quite a bit here. I haven't poured any off since the last time you saw in the video. So here is the lard. It's ready to pour off. We have about a quart here. And then I will find at this point, I do need to pour that off so that these bigger pieces do go out a little quicker than if we were to just let this slow simmer. I also have moved it back to a simmer burner instead of this big burner because I was having a hard time getting it low enough. Alright, so the lard has been cooling, but it's not quite cool yet. You can see there's some sediment on the bottom and it's still that yellow color. When it becomes fully cool, it will be white like this one is. So it just takes a little bit of time and then you will have some nice lard. To keep your lard, you want to keep it in the fridge if you're not going to use it right away. But if you're using it within the next couple weeks or a month, often you can have it on the counter as long as you're not double dipping. Happy lard making!